Well, I want to try to be respectful of your all's time and also cover the content here completely, but quickly, just so that you all can go about your day, because this course has a lot going on with it. My name's Chris. I've been with EKU for almost 24 years. And a lot of that time I spent in information technology. Did I hit record? Good. Okay. That's how present-minded I am. I just did it and I can't remember what I did. And after a while, I got really interested in training. So I did a ton of faculty training on end user applications. And as you know, like in 2000, you may not know that, you probably don't know this, but EKU didn't have ubiquitous computing, around the turn of the century. That kind of came in the, years after, and did a lot of end user training. And I just wondered how could I get, better at that? And I hung out with faculty all the time. So I pursued a doctorate in instructional systems design and completed that a few years back. And now I teach for the instructional design and learning technology program, a master's degree program here at EKU. And I'm also faculty professional development manager for the Office of eCampus Learning in the Instructional Design Center. So it's my great pleasure to be with you today. I love working with faculty. I love serving students through hopefully serving faculty very well. And I hope that this course is an expression of that. It's hopefully to give you some tools and techniques that you can use to really make your student experience in your online courses highly effective. And that's really what this is about. This is our 24th cohort of this course. We used to run it every term, summer, spring, and fall. And then attendance and completion kind of started dwindling. So we took a pause for a term, and now we're back with 10, maybe 11 students. So thank you all for being here today. I really appreciate it. So the agenda is I want you to introduce yourself to your colleagues. Some of you are new to campus, relatively new, and it's important to make those connections whenever you can. I think that's the real, one of the real interesting parts of this course is that, you'll be able to meet people that you otherwise would not have met, and maybe make a friendship or a good relationship. And we'll talk about your perceptions of online learning and also what your background in online learning is. I'll ask you to fill out a Google form very quickly, because some of that information that should have come through on the application form did not. I don't think. And one of your colleagues here said she had trouble with that form. So that's perplexing to me, but I want to get at that information because I want to talk about it with you all. And then we'll just a general course overview, and I'll add you to the course as soon as there's a break period, and you can dig in, ask me questions all through the day. I'm going to do something else that's interesting too, I think. Now, some faculty hate this concept, but I really like it for my courses because students can get me pretty quickly, and I set good expectations, but I'm much faster responding. I'm going to add this cohort to a Microsoft Teams team. And so if you use Microsoft Teams, you'll be able to get me anytime. And of course, I can't promise a response in 5 minutes, but as I'm near my computer a lot, I love responding and hopefully solving problems, answering quick questions, as soon as I can. So we'll do that, and we'll see how we like that for interaction and interactivity in a course. So let's start with introductions. I'll just go down the line. Please, give your name, your profession, your college or department that you're in, and a couple of things you'd like for us to know about you. Nothing heavy. We used to do some kind of goofy things, but just tell me some things that you might like me to know, because I'm very interested in your varied backgrounds. It's part of what makes my job fun and interesting. So how do you say your name? Is it Jian Park, Dr. Park?
Yes, my name is Jian.
Pleased to meet you. Please tell us about yourself.
Sure. So my name is Jian Park. I am assistant professor at Teaching, Learning, and Educational Leadership at College of Education and Applied Human Science.
Darlene, we're in the wrong spot. I found it.
Okay, that's why. Okay, gosh. Okay, let me.
All right. And to think about myself. All right. So regarding online learning, I am professor in special education, and my expertise is the effective use of technology for students with a disability. So my dissertation is a synchronous online learning for students with learning disability in mathematics. So I'm very interested in learning how to set up the online and what is effective use of online technology. So that is why I joined this PD. And two things about myself. Now I'm developing assistive and instructional technology lab at EKU in Commons building. So I'm very excited to start with something new. And another one is I joined EKU, I believe 1 year ago, 1 year and 6 months. So I'm pretty new and I love to learn from this PD.
Well, we're so glad to have you. Thank you so much for responding. And sounds like some of your research interests parallel mine in instructional design. I'm interested in kind of learning efficiency as it pertains to some of the things we do online, whether it's synchronous or asynchronous. So maybe we'll be talking about some of those things. So thank you so much.
All right.
Catherine Fair, please unmute and introduce yourself if you don't mind.
Okay. Sorry, I was on a Teams meeting. We thought it was in Teams, not Zoom. So
It happens.
We just joined. So you just need my name. I'm Katie Fair. I teach in the math department. I have been here for about 11 years. I coordinate a lot of the general education math classes. So I oversee the college algebra and our liberal arts math class. Right now, we're looking at redesigning the eCampus liberal arts math class. And so that's why I'm here.
It's important stuff, very important. So glad you're here. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Is that Agila?
It's me, Ajilia. Yeah, you can call me Ajilia. My name is Ajilia Chandran Madhyambat. And yeah, I'm from chemistry department from College of STEM. And I teach basically chemistry here and also microbiology. And my research area is mainly on biochemistry and microbiology. So I teach many of chemistry courses, mainly the introductory course and also biochemistry courses and microbiology, especially fermentation science and all. So yeah, I recently joined here, like if I say it's 2 years now. Yeah, so I'm teaching still the introductory chemistry, and till last semester it was online, but this semester my introductory course it's turned into in-person classes. So I know that nowadays online courses are more interested for the students, like they are like choosing more online courses because they can be on their own leisure. But the thing is, I would like to know how I can improve my online courses, like using these all technologies, and also that's why I'm here.
Sure.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
No, thank you. I hope we can learn from all the different disciplines. Of course, chemistry's another I guess we can't say that there's no unimportant discipline, but when I think about education, a basic chemistry literacy is important, and I know that your students are taking that generally much further. But hopefully you'll be able to bring away some ideas and also offer your own ideas. What context does online asynchronous learning just not work as effectively? Like, I don't think that online's a panacea for everything, but since the pandemic, I mean, a lot of weird things have happened. Like, it's been a time warp for me. People I haven't talked to in a couple of years, there have been all these personal changes in their life. There's been changes in the discipline. And so, we have to kind of grapple with that to a certain extent. That more students are going to sign up for these online courses, I think. But I'm very pleased to have you here. And thanks so much for being here this morning and taking the time. Abby.
Hi, everyone. I'm Abby Hickey. I am an assistant professor in applied human sciences. I am in the food and nutrition program. So I am teaching right now an online basic or essentials of nutrition course, which is our basic nutrition course. And so looking to grow and improve that in any way possible. And another thing I would like to share is this is my first year at EKU, and I'm loving it so far, but just looking to take advantage of all the trainings and all the new relationships. So it's great to meet you all.
Thanks so much for being here. Welcome to EKU. And you know, as somebody who's maybe been here longer than everybody, I don't know if you add all you all together, if I've been here longer, but been here a while. Like, it's a personal thing for me. And I think people who stay here a little while, especially folks from not the Kentucky area, I don't know, they get hooked on us. So we're glad you're here, and I hope that it's a great relationship, and you get a great set. You do have a great set of colleagues over there. I know a few of them, and they're wonderful people, and I'm sure your students are great too. So thanks for being here, and thanks for being here this morning. Monica, last but not least, sorry about that. You're just at the bottom. For some reason, you just got to the bottom of my list there. And there's more, but I can only see. Okay, go ahead, Monica. I'm having trouble. You're muted, or we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
All right. My name is Monica Mundy, and I'm an assistant professor in the College of Health Sciences and Public Health and Clinical Sciences. And this is my third year, and I teach a course in the Master of Public Health program, program planning. It's a writing heavy course, and it is now completely online. So that is kind of why I'm here. I want to make it as interesting for the students as I can, while still being a writing intense course. Two things about me: I like to read, as you kind of see behind me, and I'm finishing my PhD this semester, so that's going on as well. So it's been fun.
These folks that work and do a PhD and pretend like they have a family, it's amazing to me how you can do all those things. And you're not in your own boat, because two of your colleagues were finishing up theirs. What people may not know about health sciences, I was instructional designer for them for a time, but that's not what people don't know. They've recently, like, their enrollment is, I mean, they have a crazy number of enrolled students that are part of this online program. So they had to literally build the plane as they were flying it. And it's really impressive, and it's a dynamic group of faculty over there, and I'm glad you're a part of it, Monica, and thanks for being here today. I don't know how you're going to do your PhD and this stuff, but sometimes, like with dissertation, there's peaks and valleys with the activity, so hopefully we caught you at a valley. Thanks so much. Tahia.
Oh, hi there. So I'm Tahia. I'm currently a visiting assistant professor from the College of Business. So I am originally from Bangladesh. And a reason I'm interested in this class is because we just have to accept that ever since the pandemic, the online platform, for whether it's for work or school, is just becoming more and more prevalent and popular. And apparently, even in the College of Business, with the master's program, MBA, there are more students online than in person. And I know that EKU strongly defends the in-person teaching, but we kind of have to accept the fact that students want to take online classes. So again, that's why I'm taking this class. So I'm hoping that I can learn a lot from this class, and then I can implement that in my classes. So I'm looking forward to that. One thing, I think maybe it's an unfortunate news, but I may not be coming back to EKU next semester. It's because my contract probably is not going to be renewed, because I'm in a one-year contract. So it really depends on the faculty needs. If there's a need, maybe I'll come back. If there's no need, I might have to find a new job. But in that case, I would say, anything I learned from this class, I think it will be really useful down the line.
Well, I hope they'll make strides to keep you, Tahia, because Tahia's been very interested in everything we do over here, and also in FICTL, as I understand too. Well, that's the Teaching and Learning Center for face-to-face. I forget what that. If you go to an institution and you forget the acronyms, that's not a good thing. But
Faculty center.
Yes, so she's been super active and involved, and they should make great effort to retain you. Well, that shouldn't have to be any effort. They should just retain you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here today, and we're glad to have you among us. So thanks. Darlene.
Good morning. My name is Darlene Lotz, and I work at the Math and Stats department. I'm a lecturer, and me and Katie are designing the eCampus 105 and 105P class, and we're hoping for some really great ideas, which we're sure we will get some great ideas to help develop these new courses. We're not really new, just update them is what we want to do.
Wonderful. Wonderful. William.
Hey there, everybody. Good to see you. I'm a first-year faculty. I'm in teaching, learning, and educational leadership. And before starting officially EKU in August, I taught a spring and a summer course, both online. And, you know, one of them, I still get a little confused. One of them, I think, was like the eCampus, and then one of them was just an online course. And, you know, so I'm just trying to I had some minimal experience coming in, but I'm just trying to kind of figure it out a little bit better. And in TLEL soon, we are rolling out a 100% online program with elementary education. And I will be tasked with developing one or two, I think at least one or two of those courses. So I just want to make sure I know what I'm doing.
Well, I think if you've ever taught or learned something, everybody knows more than they think they do. But what I hope this course does is kind of give more of a direct approach to it. We're glad you're here, William, and it's a challenging thing, but also it's a very needed thing, and the students will benefit from that. And really appreciate you being here today. Let me share my screen again. Did I miss anybody? I don't think so. I'm looking at the list now that I'm actually oriented. Actually, I'm normally working from home, but I wanted to come into my office today, and things weren't technologically like I wanted them to be. So I'm struggling with that a little bit. Let me share the screen again. So those were introductions. Now, please, we're going to talk a little bit about perceptions and background. How many years have you been teaching online? How would you characterize your online knowledge? What are your expectations? Because what if my course here doesn't cover it? I want to make sure that we get you what you need and be able to fold that into the experience of this course. So what are your top 3 expectations? What would you like to learn? What are your goals and ambitions for this time? Because it's going to be, you know, we're talking about, you know, 55 to 70 hours worth of work here in this 8 weeks. It's not a small, like, this is not just a mamby-pamby, you know, check the boxes. There's a significant amount of reading, although it's light reading. There are videos, there are discussion boards. What we hope to do is model a fully asynchronous course with some live supports in here. And there's a final project as well. So, I mean, this is a real course. And so we need you to get out of it what you want. Also, what do you find not appealing about online? Let's talk about that, because like I said, I don't think it's a panacea. I don't think every learner characteristic, every type of learner, and I don't mean learning styles. I mean like different characteristics, demographics, emotional availability, if you will, aptitude for online types of tasks and procedures. I don't think everybody's best suited for that. So, I mean, let's talk about that. What's your biggest fear is probably the wrong phrase, but you know, what's your least favorite part about teaching online if you've done it? What's your favorite part about it? You know, I want to capture that kind of those attitudes and your perspectives if we can here. So head to the polling form. You can take a picture of my QR code, or you can, if you're on a computer, you can click that. I will paste, you can't click it, I'll paste the link. I should have shared this presentation with you, shouldn't I? It just goes back to I should have just done this from home. But that's a poor excuse. There's the form. You can grab it with your camera there if you like. If you want to take it on your phone, it should be completely open. It's just a few questions. Let's just take a minute. And while you're doing that, I'm going to put you all in the online course here if I can. Hi, Sarah. Thanks for joining us today. If you're in your car, don't worry about this, but otherwise we're taking a little Google poll very quickly because some of the data was not captured on that form. And that probably mirrors some of your odd experience in filling out that form. So thanks for being here today. If you can, we'll get you to speak and introduce yourself. If not, don't worry about it. Oh, you just spoke in the chat. Yeah, please continue to listen. Don't worry about messing with that phone. I don't want to say I was the cause of the first professional development wreck on at EKU. I guess that we could interpret wreck pretty liberally, but not really. Is everyone done that wants to be done? Let me check the form here. Got 4 responses so far. 5. There's no rush whatsoever, just making sure that we have those in there. Because faculty sometimes think, am I the only person that feels like this and thinks like that? And what we hope is that we'll see some patterns that we are fairly confident in. 6. Wait another minute or so. If you're still working on it, that's just fine. Great. Thank you. Wonderful. I think that might be everyone. So let's just look quickly. How many years of experience do we have? So we have everybody was 0 to 5. We don't have any really super old online, grizzled online faculty. We've been using online education, as many of you, because you're in education, you know that that's not a new thing anymore. We've had our first learning management system since either 1998 or 1999. It was called Web Course in a Box. I left as a student and came back as a staff member in 99, and we were just transitioning to a learning management system called Blackboard. Yes, we've had Blackboard here about 23 years and change, and it hasn't changed cosmetically a whole heck of a lot in that time. There's a lot of chatter about that among faculty and even staff about, you know, what are we doing? What's going to happen? But for now, we're using Blackboard Original to its fullest potential. And so let's look at what prior cohorts reported in terms of their experience in spring of 2022 with 14 respondents. If you'll see, the blue represents 0 to 5 years. So most people in this class are in the same boat as you. They've got between 0 and 5 years of online teaching experience. And occasionally we'll have somebody who's been doing it a long time that just wanted to take it, just wanted to be part of the course and see what they could contribute or get out of it. But usually we have folks that are a little bit newer to online. How would you characterize that online teaching knowledge? So some knowledge. So not novices, but not super ultra experienced perhaps. And let's see what old cohort said. So some to considerable. So some was the predominant response. Same boat as you. Are you saying you're no different from anybody else? I don't know what we're saying. I don't think we could generalize these data. And this is how it was. This is on a 3-point scale, 0 meaning none and 3 meaning considerable. So over the years from fall of 16, you know, it's been about the same. There's some to considerable experience in online teaching. So let's read your top expectations. And this is anonymous, so I don't know who said what. You could be a smart aleck, that would have been just fine. Student engagement, effective communication, increased student learning. How to develop a course that flows, easy to find things. I hope that this course is an example in terms of that. There's a whole bunch of content in every week. I hope you'll see the organizational structure is fairly easy to navigate. Of course, some of that's perception and can vary from person to person, but I hope you'll see this as kind of an example, and has the right amount of content. I may have blown the curve on that some people say there's just too many readings, but all of ours they're not academic. Most of them they're written just as a discussion, kind of popular types of discussion for faculty and staff. Unique online teaching techniques, strategies for creative and interesting class assignments, structure, basic pedagogy of online learning. Yes, we will cover all of those things, or at least a perspective on those things, and I want to hear your perspectives. How to engage students, retain students, make learning fun. Fun's a tricky thing because sometimes I think some things are totally boring and that's where they are. They're, you know, the goals are rather static and we value the learning progress or the skills creation above the fun. But with a lot of things, I don't know, I couldn't have got through all my programs if I hadn't made them fun or interesting to me. So I take that point. Hopefully we'll be able to show you a little bit of fun. Participation, interaction with students, more involvement of students. Different methods to present material, ways to create interactives. Yeah, we'll definitely discuss some of those. I run an optional tech tools session. We'll do it in week 3 or week 4. Attend if you want. I'll record it. I'll show you some new ideas, what I think is kind of more recent. I'll show you Articulate Storyline, which is the tool we use to develop interactives professionally around here. And there's some other nice tools that you can use. Some of them cost, some of them don't. Problem with these freemium products is that they'll invariably get bought up or they'll go away. And I hate for somebody to go down a development path with a tool and then it dry up. So that's always my fear. Different methods to present. Okay. Responsible student assessment. Okay, good. Engaging students in the learning process without it feeling like busy work. Yeah, that's a big thing, isn't it? And especially with discussion boards. I feel like I have a bone to pick about a lot of discussion boards, and we'll hit that in week 1. How to really write discussion board prompts that are engaging and not a mini research paper. I think we have too many discussion boards that they're writing assignments, and they are writing assignments, but they should not be treated like a term paper or an essay. Engaging students in learning processes without creating a helpful learning environment. Yeah, that's good. And organizational structure, doing all the work on the front end so that you can be the teacher, you can be the mentor, you can be the guide. We'll cover things regarding that. Preparing online learning materials, video editing. I can show you anything you want to know. I'm a prosumer video editor. I don't consider myself a true professional, but I'm a step above a novice and a regular person. And I use a product called Camtasia that I really love, that has all the tech that you want, but makes it pretty straightforward. I'm glad to show that. And I'll show you some things that I've done with it here on campus too. Teaching strategies to encourage the class. Okay, let's talk about, let's see what other folks have said in the past. But before we do, let me talk about sort of the primary framework behind online. What am I doing? Yes. Don't hit the wrong button, folks. It's not good. We're going to talk about the community of inquiry framework for online teaching and learning. Some of you in the education field may know this. This is a Randy Garrison, and he's a fairly weighty researcher, but he developed this over 20 years ago. And oh my goodness, my computer's wanting to restart, and I don't want that. I think it's going to give me some time though. All right. So as I think about online teaching and learning, this framework best explains, I think, what really goes on in an optimal online course and what teachers can do to give the best educational experience for students. I think it works for face-to-face courses too, but I just think some of that stuff is already baked in because you're already there in the class. One big complaint that we have from faculty who've done face-to-face teaching exclusively is that I don't know what's going on with my students in online. Well, we can get at some of those things if we're intentional about what we do. But anyway, this framework, I teach this framework once a year to graduate instructional design students, but it's comprised of 3 main spheres, and that's cognitive presence. That's the content to be learned and processed is the cognitive presence. And so the better those items are organized and explained to the students and outlaid in a way that they can access them. That's one of the main spheres, the cognitive presence, the stuff to be learned. Second is the teaching presence. Those are the things that you do as an instructor to facilitate learning, to communicate the instructional message, to serve as a mentor and guide to your students. Students crave your mentorship and your guidance to reach their goals and aspirations, I believe, more than anything else that you can do, even teaching. And I know that may be a bold claim, but they want some of what you got. I mean, they want to be where you are or where you know that you can take them. My father-in-law always said, nobody can take you any farther than they've been. And I think that to an extent that's true. You can take your students very far in terms of their knowledge and skills to be able to attain their goals and aspirations. And so your teaching presence, the things you do, aside from the design of the course, is one of those buckets, if you will, and one of the things that Garrison talks a lot about in the COI framework. And then the last is social presence. Those are the things that happen, the communications, interactions, the experiences that the students have as they're interacting with both you, but also with each other. And so where these things overlap, now we start talking about, all right, how do we make that happen? So if we're talking about merging cognitive presence with social presence, that's discourse. And so how can we have effective discourse in online courses? You may think if you teach a more objective, in a more objective discipline where there are right and wrong answers, that there's not necessarily room for discourse. Well, I disagree because the applications of your hard sciences, your natural sciences, there are all kinds of implications. I mean, just look at COVID, the discourse that has come out from mRNA technology, which I know nothing about. It sounds good when I say it maybe, but there are all kinds of implications for the skills and the knowledge that you would impart to students relative to what they're going to talk about. So it's supporting the discourse is important. Where we have cognitive presence match with teaching presence, that's the content selection. That's the setting of goals and objectives for the course, and then selecting how you're going to meet those goals and objectives through course content, through assessments, through other experiences that course provides. And then where we have teaching presence and social presence, that's the climate. And those are the words you use. That's the attitude that you bring to this online environment. And we'll talk more about that too. But you're going to read about that this week, and hopefully, bring some of your own thoughts and your experiences to the table as we engage in a discussion board. Any questions about that? And please speak. This should be a dialogue. I'm certainly kind of informal, and I want you all to be too. Let's go back to what your expectations are. What do you want to learn? I already covered that. Sorry. Lots of people ask us about student engagement. How can we best engage students? Facilitate online conversation, create a sense of community online, effective asynchronous discussions, best engagement practices. Does that sound familiar? Did any of you answer with those things? This is not, I didn't go ahead of you and copy your answers. You all did that this morning, but that's a trend. We really think that a lot of people they want to know more about student engagement more than any other thing. And I heard on NPR about a month ago that, you know, engagement is us actively meeting our students in whatever it is we're trying to do. So we have to kind of outreach, and hopefully you'll learn some techniques in the next 8 weeks to kind of do that. But I think it starts with a really positive attitude, a real willingness to learn, to take students where they're at first, but then lead them where we think that they might need to go to be the best versions of themselves that they can be. And so I think that, but I think it starts with our attitude and how we engage people, how we talk to people, and letting them know that we're honest and willing to work with them and we enjoy it. Course design, how to develop an online course, the elements and structure of an online course, how to add interaction and interactivity, how to do assessments. Somebody mentioned assessments. How do we embed standards? So those are trends that we've seen over the last 20 some cohorts. And I think that's some of what you all are looking for too. And pedagogy, what are the best online practices? How do we maintain the course rigor and a quality learning experience? There's a perception that there's less quality in online courses sometimes. And while I disagree with that, I can't ignore the fact that that's how people feel. So we have to try to address that, at least for ourselves, because it's your names that are, you know, on the courses and on the syllabi. Making teaching interesting, ensure learning happens, feedback strategies. Hopefully you'll see some of these applied in this course. People have mentioned technology and tools. I don't know where that lies with this group. How many folks are interested in, I know at least one, are interested in learning sort of modern or very recent tools and techniques and software applications? Just raise hands. Or yeah, some folks are like, I don't care. We'll use what we have, and that's fine. So I'll make a note of that, and I'll be sharing things with you in Microsoft Teams or via announcements, as well as having that tech talk. And I can have any number of live sessions that you all want, or if you want to meet to discuss your particular concerns or questions. You know, I live for that. That's what I love. And also you will have a media project that you'll do. I'll talk more about that here in a minute, and we'll have to get you help for that as needed. So we've already talked about assessment. Here's some other things people have mentioned in the past, and I'll add your survey information to this presentation for the next time. Academic integrity, and especially in the shadow of ChatGPT. I just did a session on ChatGPT last week. You know, that's a new threat, or it's at least a new concern. It's the same old concept. And you should listen to the recording, because there were many excellent thoughts. I can share that recording with you if you want, but your faculty, your colleagues on campus are already thinking about that, using it and trying to see where we go relative to this new form of academic dishonesty. What does effective teaching mean? What are some new techniques? How can we draw from our prior experience to expand the knowledge and practice? There are also campus. Does anybody have facilitating duties with eCampus? Facilitator is an assistant instructor that an instructor of record gets after a certain number of students are enrolled in the course. Don't hold me to this number, but I think it's 25. And so that presents a special role and opportunity, but also a challenge in working with this qualified educator to sort of decrease the burden in a high enrollment course. Monica, I'm sure if you've not worked with facilitators yet, you're going to, because your courses are, you know, have tons of students in them. And so how do we manage to that? How do we use a model that will help us do our jobs and at the same time, you know, uphold our own level of professionalism and quality? Moving beyond discussion boards. Some people think, man, I really hate discussion boards. And I think the more like students, young folks still use text all the time. They use text to convey ideas great and small. Just look at Discord, look at Reddit, look at any of these message boards where students are engaging in very meaningful ways using text and a few pictures. And so I think it's still a great and powerful communications medium, but we can move beyond it. We're going to move beyond it this week with Flip. Some of you all have used Flip, but we're going to use Flip. That's another way to communicate that's asynchronous. And what are some tech hacks, if you will? I'm full of those, so we can share those anytime. Okay. I don't know why that slide's in there. Let's find out what you thought was not appealing about online learning. Student may feel detached from instructor and peers. True. Some may. Not seeing my students and being just a grader. True. That was especially true when things were more asynchronous. You know, before the advent of really great compressed video, I don't know, 2013, 2014, maybe a little later, it was like we had an Adobe product for online meetings, and it was pretty terrible. And I don't blame anybody for not wanting to use bad compressed video. Look where we are right now. We used to hold these sessions live. We made you come here. It was not an optional. There was no option to it. If you wanted to be part of things, you had to be here. Now, I mean, I still like for everybody to be here, but we can be here on Zoom. And if you can't make it, if there's some crazy thing, this is recorded and you can watch it later. So, we have so many more options, and the technology's much, it's more robust and it's just slicker than it used to be. Lack of interaction. I think for me, Teams is really great. Some people don't like Teams because they feel like they're on a pager system. I don't feel like that. And I set the expectation that, if you send a message and I don't respond, well, please wait, or send me an email. I have a graduated way for my students to contact me. So if they leave me a voicemail, it pings me in a way that I know is very important. A lot of students hate using voicemail. They hate, calling on the phone. So I know if they call me, it's pretty important. And so that's kind of my triage. I have a triage system. Interaction in class, lack of communication, student confusion about the course structure. That's so core and key to what we do in the Instructional Design Center. I feel like my approach anyway is second nature, and I hope to share that with you, and hopefully you'll gain from that. It's difficult to prevent cheating. I think it's difficult to prevent cheating. It was a challenge back, in the 90s, but things have certainly escalated, and ChatGPT is a wild escalation. And I don't know where we're going with that exactly. I'm not sure anybody does, but yeah, we'll touch on that. And some folks think they cannot check into students' learning and progress. The LMS is our friend with that, especially the newer one. It gives us a lot of information pretty quickly. So I hope to address those concerns, and I hope to meet you where you're at in terms of solving those problems for yourself. What did folks from prior terms say? They said, loss of personal interaction, managing engagement. Some people hated Zoom. I mean, after the pandemic, I don't blame anybody. I did this last one in summer of 22. So I don't blame anybody for hating Zoom, like after, nearly 2 full years of using nothing but Zoom. I don't love it every day myself. Lack of direct interaction. Let's talk about what your biggest fears, least favorite things were. But first, let's talk about your favorite things. More materials can be shared. Flexibility. You can teach anywhere. Students are getting more interested in online classes. Yes, that is true. Flexibility. Give students autonomy. So that's a type of flexibility. More easily accommodate students with learning difficulties. If we will adhere to ADA standards and think carefully about what we put into our online courses, that's absolutely true. I didn't ask you to share your negative things, did I? Okay. Least appealing. We already did that. Okay. Biggest fear, least favorite part about teaching online. Students flying under the radar, not being in the classroom, being chained to a computer device, creating videos, evaluating student progress without seeing evidence firsthand, or that may be cheating. Leading graduate level discussion over Zoom. Somebody made that comment, like this was not this cohort, but that's surprising to me, because I just say, all right, we read Mayor today, what's it about? And then I just sit there and look at them until somebody responds. Or I have a prompt, or I have an article from recent news where, effective design did this thing or that thing. There's so many ways to present a discussion and use digital assets that I like it. Deficit in student engagement. Trying to get students to constantly engage, maintaining a schedule. Anybody have anything to say about likes and dislikes, opportunities, threats?
I think one of the things that I guess last semester I was teaching one of the class business 303, and I feel like just because some of the students, they were not seeing me in person, they felt anxious just because they didn't understand anything. Because in person, the students, they can speak to me after class, and somehow in the online setting, some of the students were anxious because the information was relayed online through email or on Blackboard instead of in person. I think that some of the students still have that fear of when they don't see the instructor in person, but it's not for all students, for some.
No, I think that's true. Thank you for responding.
I was worried about that same thing too. And I got a nice piece of advice from a colleague. And at the end of every unit, I just jump on Collaborate and I record a video for them just to get them used to seeing me, and I don't know. And then I get some thoughts out.
It's a great technique. I do it every week in my graduate courses. I'll just 10 o'clock at night before I go to bed, I'll hop on there. I'll say, well, hey, this is what this week's about. Here's what you all covered last week. And, you know, I'm not afraid to do it on a Wednesday. I'm not afraid to just jump on there and hit record and send that message along. And I find that students like that.
I think for me, I would really like student input on what would be the most effective ways to collaborate with them. But of course, things are changing so much, just even year to year. And so I think something that I fear is I don't want my courses to be antiquated, because I think that's a way that students kind of check out, is if it feels antiquated. And so and I know that's just as simple as talking with the students, but I think some of them are, you know, kind of what others were saying, just are not as willing to speak out or to share their thoughts, when I really would just like to learn what's best for them.
Sure. I've heard people who have communication difficulties, whether they're on sort of a autism Asperger's spectrum, whether they're just naturally not, I don't even like to use the word shy, but they're not super outgoing. I find in my live classes, though, as a student, it was always the same couple people that were speaking, and the people that were more reticent, they were always more reticent. And I think sometimes those people are more inspired to reach out, especially if they can just type. They don't have to use their voice. So while I'm not discounting anything you say, Abby, I think that what you said is very true. I think there's some opportunities for other students through this medium that can be a little better for them. Anyone else?
I do have to agree with that, because I've noticed that in my class, in the in-person class, there are a few students, 2 to 3, like almost 30 students, only 2 to 3 students are always responding, whereas rest of the people are quiet. On the other hand, the same people, they have so much to say in the discussion board and case study. Like, they have so much to say, and I'm like surprised. Even though I encourage them to speak in the classroom, they just don't want to. On the other hand, in discussion board and case studies, they just are writing so much. It's just kind of interesting to see that.
And I think public speaking is a good skill. You know, it's not what I think. I mean, others say it's a necessary, even essential skill. And while we should encourage those who can to speak up in class, it's just another way. And I think what you all are going to see, and this is an opinion, you're going to see the hybridization of your face-to-face courses eventually. So what's happening in a lot of institutions is that they're scheduling 1 or 2 days meeting a week because they don't have the building infrastructure anymore. So they're doing a lot of these things online, and then coming to class for essential coverage of topics or particular experiences that the faculty want them to have together. And so we're going to see more of a hybridization of, you may have heard of HighFlex. It's a model for developing hybrid classes, and it requires a lot, but that's where I think we're going.
In my case, I have difficulty in differentiation. So even though it is online learning, I believe we need to provide a kind of accommodation for students, struggling learners. So it's really hard, some students, they may spend more time than compared to their peers, but still their assignment, the quality is low because of a lack of accommodation or lack of instructions. It's really hard to check in individual progress.
Thank you.
I think the hybrid class that you mentioned really, to me, actually, at least it's personal opinion, it seems to be the best of both worlds because, for example, if it's a 2-session class, right, 2 sessions per week, then in one day the students can see you. So if they have any confusion or anxiety, they can clear that with you. And on the other day, they can just be at home and work on their assignments, reading or any assignment, they can work on it. So they have both autonomy and also the ability to see the instructor in person. So to me, again, it's personal opinion. At EKU, you either have in person or online. I don't know if there's any hybrid course offered, at least not in College of Business, but I think it's the best of both worlds for students.
I'm not familiar with any hybrid that's been really thoroughly implemented. Go ahead, Willie.
Yeah, well, I'm teaching a hybrid. I was given the option of how I wanted to deliver it, and I was just told if it was hybrid, I had to meet with them like a minimum of 6 times. So we have 6 Zoom meetings, synchronous, and the rest is online. And I agree to you. It's like it is nice because I actually got to see them. We got to interact. I brought in a guest speaker. So I do think it's going to work out well.
Yeah, I have synchronous online classes last semester. So the thing is that in synchronous class, the students, some students, they won't be asking questions during the class hours, but I used to give a student hours for each course so that if anybody want to talk to me in person, like they can come to that time by Zoom, and so that like they can ask me personally, like if they didn't understand something, like so they don't feel that shyness like the way they when they ask in the class. So because they may feel that okay, people may think that I'm not understanding, I'm not that smart like them. So when you give a personal student hours with them, so that time they are more free to ask, and they get more chance to be involved with the about the class or anything. They can discuss more confidently if you give like a personal student hours with them. So that I feel that's a good approach, like when the students especially, they are hesitant to ask in front of all the class, so they can comment, so that's a good strategy. I was feeling it will be better to continue that type of strategy when we do the online courses.
I think it would be a great bridge for faculty who've been teaching face-to-face only, just a way for them to kind of dip their toe in that. And I hope that the institution, maybe from lessons William and others are learning, could develop an approach where somebody that's a little bit hesitant to bring their class to completely online may try the hybrid and see how that goes for them. The thing I don't want this to be about is, like, we have a lot of things that we do in eCampus, but outside of that structure, I don't want to make you feel, if you're not part of eCampus, you have to do online learning this way. Like, this is one way, and there are several frameworks and several approaches, but it's not the law. It's some ideas we think will help. Anyone else speak? This is what it should be, less about me and more about you all.
Another thing I guess I would like to share is, even though obviously I'm just a faculty, not at the executive level, but I'm noticing, so as I mentioned, I have been looking at jobs at other universities. So I've noticed a lot of the universities, top ranked ones, that mention that they offer different type of modalities, like in-person, hybrid, like flex, those kind of different options. So I think EKU, again, this is my opinion, EKU probably needs to get on board with that kind of different modalities, because the top universities are doing it. So I think, and they have a lot of students, right? So that kind of tells me that it's something that EKU needs to look into.
I foresee a hybrid path through this institution, hopefully fairly soon. and you can take all your classes and so either go to class or not. So you can log into a class, and we've done versions of that for years, like with interactive television. They've done that for ages, but you had to go to a satellite campus to get that. But I foresee a lot of changes here in the next 5 years or so. Let me talk briefly about a study that Nadim Sliptovich conducted, but I didn't conduct, so I don't have all the answers for it. But he looked at 3 cohorts, roughly 847 students in 26 courses that where the instructors did not take PD1, or it was before they took, or PD2. So before they took PD2, and then they looked at the same course, different term after PD2, and they measured satisfaction, I think primarily satisfaction, and there was some other metric. I should know this better, shouldn't I? We think that this program helps teachers be better online instructors. And I should find that right up and send that to you all, and I'll do that so you can read more about it. But so he did attempt to study this over 3 years, and we think that what we're doing is having an impact in making teachers, online instructors, feel better about that job, and it's benefiting students. What might you get out of this course? A changed perspective on, we used to call it distance education, it still is, but a changed perspective on online teaching and learning, improved teaching practices, hopefully improve the workflows. If you will do the things, if you have an instructional designer assigned to you, if you'll get them to help you do the things that we suggest in this course, I promise you, you will have a course that you are ready to use on day one. You won't have to worry about all the housekeeping things. I mean, it requires a lot of work up front to develop that structure. But then once you have that developed, unless you're in a discipline that changes every year, like nursing, which is it's very difficult for them because treatment standards change. They find out more about medications and options for people with different conditions and diseases. That's a tough one. But if you're teaching something that's doesn't change from year to year, you'll have that course, and you will just be able to quickly review it, open the course, and start the interpersonal and the interactive aspects of who you are as teachers, and letting that flow through online. The workflow and getting everything set up in advance is one part of the whole experience. If you'll do those things or work with me, and we'll figure out a workflow for you, we can make that a less painful and sometimes even enjoyable experience. For full-time tenure track faculty, there's a $250 stipend. It was a lot more until budget cuts. I just mentioned that because it's there. I wish it were more. It should be more. I'll ask to see if it can be more, but I don't think I can. But so if you complete the course, you get a $250 professional development stipend. Questions? Who wants to say something? Do you want to take a break, or do you want to go through? I may skip a bunch of these slides and just show you the course. So if you all need a break, that's fine. Or if not, we'll keep going, because I know you all have things to do. And the one Zoom technique is to pause for more seconds than you think you need, because sometimes people have trouble hitting buttons, or they're not sure they want to chime in, or they talk over one another. It's very common.
I wonder if you are going to share the schedule, I heard this is intensive. So are we going to have this type of meeting every Mondays, or no? No, we have 2 synchronous sessions that are, I hate to use the word mandatory, but though we would really like for you to attend, and this is one of them. The last one is the media presentation. When you have your media projects, that last week in week 8, and we'll find a time that works for most of us. I don't want to at this point just say it's going to be this date and time. I would rather try to work with all of us here to find the best time. But really, it's about presenting your final projects, looking at each other's projects, and getting some insight and some inspiration about the many varied things that you all do when you tackle a media project that's significant. Thank
But
you.
no, yeah, sure. And I'm willing to meet as much as you all can stand, but the reality is you all have things to do. So getting started here, before you get into this course, have a course that you want to work on in mind right now. And hopefully you have a syllabus for that course, and you're ready to really start thinking about and working on it. Or it can be a course that you've taught online that you just want to revamp. But have a course in mind. If it's 3 or 4 days from now, you still don't know what your course is going to be, that will hinder your progress through things. So please have that course in mind. Recognize now, I want to just say it at the outset, this is 50 to 60 hours, and I'd say that's probably some people may take a little longer, but there's a ton of reading, there are videos to watch, there are discussion board questions to answer, there are other exercises and activities. If you feel like this is not the time, that's perfectly fine. People drop this thing all the time, and I don't want you to drop it, but I just want to be realistic. What happens, I don't want to happen, is you get into week 3 or 4, you're already 2 weeks behind, and you're saying, I really can't, I'm not going to catch up, but yet you spent all this time. I don't want you to be in that situation. Just know that it's going to be several hours per week of reading and thinking about your projects and doing discussion boards. It's significant. So just keep that in mind. But we want you to stay in most people who stay on task for the first 3 or 4 weeks, then we kind of plateau off in terms of the content you're working on, your media projects, and it's more manageable after that. But it's just after 20 some cohorts, we see it every term, and it's fine. This is not undergraduate. You'll hopefully obtain some technical and pedagogical knowledge. I think the community of inquiry is very, very rich. And if you just thought about that one framework, you would do very well. As if you think about how are you going to fill those buckets, how are you going to build the student experience based on teaching cognitive social presence. You're going to obtain a student perspective on what it is to take an 8-week course. I'm not surprised to find out that most people have never actually taken an online course of any scope. It's quick stuff for faculty. This is not quick stuff, although 8 weeks, 16 weeks shoved into 8 weeks is a lot. But you're going to see what one looks like, what we think a good course looks like. That's an 8-week course, and it's probably somewhere between an upper division course and a graduate level course in terms of the content and to some extent the complexity. What we will learn about in this course, I want to talk about what we will do and what we won't do, but I'm always glad to help you regarding your personal needs and circumstance. We will learn online pedagogy. We will learn how to create an online presence and engage with students. I'm going to be doing that this evening with you all as soon as I get a little time. I'm going to cut my first flip message to you all, and you all will respond in the next couple of days. How to create student-to-student and instructor-student opportunities for interaction and engagement. How to use appropriate technology. I love technology, but I'm the first to say, let's use it where it's needed. Let's not find a technology and then find a reason to use it. I don't like that. It doesn't serve faculty. It frustrates faculty, and it frustrates students too. Creating an effective online syllabus, assessments, rubrics, lesson plans, learning objectives. It's old knowledge for some, but creating those cogent and coherent instructional or learning objectives is core and key to an effective online experience. We have to be able to articulate to our students specifically what we want them to know or be able to do. And that's not to say we teach using those objectives. I think it's boring to say, well, the objective of this course is this class. I mean, that's kind of boring, but we have to have those in our mind, and we have to communicate those to students. Providing timely and meaningful feedback. Hopefully will be an example about how when you make a submission, you're going to get my response and my feedback pretty quickly. And, where in an 8-week course, we're talking about one day being essentially 2 days, 1 week being essentially 2 weeks in terms of the progression of content. So I have to be quick to respond to you. Otherwise, the feedback doesn't mean as much. It's not as useful. And creating that media project. And we've got time to talk about that. I want to know your ideas. Every term somebody throws something at me that I think is really great, and I want to try to help them as much as I can. What we used to do is have a relationship where one faculty member would be assigned to an instructional designer in our department and they would get help. I'm going to try to bring that back because I think meeting different people whose profession is to design effective instruction, work with faculty as subject matter experts to generate ideas and create interactives and content is very important. And hopefully we can bring that back. If not, you'll have me and I'll help you as much as I can. What is not the focus of this course, but I'm more than willing to help you with. We're not going to look at technical details. If you want to know what you need to click in Blackboard to make something happen, that is not what this course is about. If you want to learn how to use e-learning authoring technology, I don't do any direct instruction of those things, but I'm glad to help you. I'm glad to get things started. If enough of you want to meet to look at a particular product, I will make time as much as I can to walk through those things with you. I actually enjoy that as much, if not more, than the pedagogy stuff. So I'm very open to it. If not, we'll connect you to the resources that you need to get yourself started. Questions about that? So for example, we'll talk about how to create online presence using blogs, wikis, discussion boards. With the knowledge that wikis is going away in the new Blackboard Ultra, you'll have to use other technologies such as a Google Doc or a third-party wiki creator if you really want to do wikis. But we have them in original and they work very well for some things. What I won't show you as part of this course is how to create a quiz which consists of multiple choice, essay, hotspot questions. I mean, I'll show you that, but it's just not part of this course. Any questions about that? Sometimes that's a little sticky for some. And the main reason why is because, you know, some tech is here today, gone tomorrow. You know, if I point you to a free service, like we've been using Screencast-O-Matic for screen recording, we've recommended that to faculty for years, but next week they could say, well, we're done. And so if we put all our eggs in the Screencast-O-Matic basket, then we can alienate folks. We have other course offerings. We have PD1, Intro to Blackboard. It's a self-paced course that will tell you everything you want to know about operating Blackboard Original. I also just created PD1 for Ultra. Ultra is Blackboard's new learning management system. It is more streamlined. If you're familiar with the product called Canvas, people say it functions much more like Canvas. So it's straightforward. I don't like saying it's easy because who knows if it's easy, but it's more straightforward. It takes fewer clicks to make things happen. If you want to learn more about that, see me or ask me to enroll you in that course and you can check it out. I have about 70 minutes of instructional video, many low stakes quizzes, and you can take the quizzes as much as you want. It's a self-paced course. PD3 working with backward design. That's something that I can't offer. I haven't had a lot of requests for that, but it's this concept about looking at your goals and objectives first and how do we work back from that to create everything else. You'll get a piece of that in this course. And then we have a number of online teaching and learning sessions weekly, at least one a week, sometimes 2 or 3. Tomorrow we have 2. We have Dr. Sara Insera showing her award-winning Psychology 859 course. We also have international expert. I don't know how I got this guy, but his name is Robert Cosma. And for you in education, you may know the media debate in education that was popular in the 80s and 90s. It was Richard Clark and Robert Cosma. Robert Cosma is speaking to EKU Tuesday from 1 to 3, and he's going to be talking about his new book, Design as a Way to Make the World a Better Place. And so it's going to be a great session. I rolled the dice and asked him if he'd talk with us, and he agreed. And so we're going to give that session. It's going to be an interactive session with discussion and some concepts that he wants to show people about relative design. It's kind of his parting professional thoughts to the field of educational technology and just design in general. And then you can always ask for a consultation with me or another instructional designer. If you have a problem and you want to get some ideas about how to solve that, let me know. I'll either help you if I can. If I can't, we'll put you in touch with somebody on our team who can. We have decades of experience on this instructional design team, consisting of about, I think, 11 individuals and a new video producer. So we're at your service as much as we can be. So the goal, as I would say, and I'll probably cut some of these short and just let you read the slides. to expose you to new ideas and best practices based on solid research to assist you on applying them in your own online and hybrid course. And the slides will have the activities and experiences. That's sort of an overview of those. And how will we apply them? We have these specific ways of applying these concepts. So I'll briefly talk about each module. I'll just do it on this slide. I'll show you the course, what it looks like, and then hopefully that'll be enough. Y'all have suffered enough today. Any questions before I do that? So module 1 is community of inquiry and discussion board. So we'll talk about the COI model and how it supports sort of an active learning pedagogy, which means, you know, the students do something, we do something. It's active, it's not read and then just respond. There's more to it than that. How to design engaging pedagogically discussion and pedagogically rich discussion boards. That's the most important thing that I think we could learn. One of the most. Module 2, we'll talk about learning objectives. If you're familiar with Bloom's taxonomy, did you know that it was not originally designed to be a pyramid? That came later from, was it Anderson? This concept of a pyramid came later. I don't like the concept that creating is necessarily the pinnacle. That's not what all learning is necessarily about. I think of it more as a mall map and not a road map. It will tell you where you are, but not necessarily where you should be. That's for you as an instructor to decide whether remembering and understanding is what's called for versus creating or evaluating. We'll talk about blogs, wikis, and journals in module 3, and we'll have an optional online meeting where I'll show you some technology and you can discuss your media project ideas. We'll record that meeting, and so those of you that can't show up, that's fine. You can watch the recording. We'll talk more about the media project in module 4. We'll discuss student engagement strategies for online learning. We'll talk about polling and surveys. I also have a video that I may just recreate it and show you what's going on new with polls and surveys. What you just took today was the poor man's, I don't feel like paying a subscription fee polling mechanism. And so, but there are several really great paid ones for $9 or $10 a month. You can have a really rich poll application that you can reuse in courses, and you can gather data. There's lots of great options if you want to pay a little money or get your department to maybe kick in some money for it. We used to have clickers. I don't know if anybody on campus still uses the response clickers, but we have more sophisticated ways of doing that now. But faculty love clickers. They used to anyway. We'll talk about Quality Matters. Quality Matters is a course design rubric that is evidence-based, and it's a way to design, not deliver, but design your course with all of the things that we need to keep in mind to have an effective course structure that allows you to go about the job of teaching and students the job of learning. If you've not heard of Quality Matters, this will be a great introduction to that. You can get involved in that. It's a professional organization as well. And I think I've got several levels of certification in QM, and I think that we can learn a lot and do a lot of good by applying what that rubric suggests that we do. Module 6, we'll make sure we really start working, and we're well underway with the work on the media project. There are principles and best practices of good online teaching, how to give high quality feedback. If you read only one article, it should come from Grant Wiggins, the late Grant Wiggins, Harvard trained and was an educator for 40 or 50 years, but he talks about effective instructional feedback as being specific, measurable, time referenced. A lot of things, concepts you know, but the spirit that he imparts that with is just very valuable. And we'll talk a little more about polling and surveys. The distance education student, what we knew up before, I don't know what we know after the pandemic. I think that research is still ongoing and coming in. But certainly what a traditional online student might look like. Certainly our adult learners, median age for our population in Office of eCampus, I think is 32.5. So it's certainly, we're into adult learner territory in eCampus. And of course, that's changing with COVID. We'll talk about race, stereotype, threat, and teaching underrepresented students, academic integrity, and the concept of mobile learning, or using a device, or being flexible in terms of where you're at as a student and as an instructor. Sometimes you take a camera with you. Last week is sort of where we're into presentation mode. We're finishing up the touches on our media projects, and we're going to show those for public consumption, get ideas, and give each other feedback. Let's look at the course really quickly. I know time is short, and I'll make sure in just a few minutes those who aren't in the course get in there. So you will go to learn.eku.edu. You don't have to do this now, but if you've never, has anybody never been to our Blackboard site? So you'll go to learn.eku.edu. And when that happens, you'll hit this first login button. I don't want to assume anybody's been there, but probably maybe most of you have. And when you do that, you'll have to authenticate. And I don't want to show that process because it already automatically logs me in. You may need to enter your email username and password, and then you may need to get on your device and give a code. So there's a little bit of a process there when it comes to logging in. But when you finally get logged in, the system takes you to this activity stream page. I don't like that for me because I have so many courses that this stream doesn't make any sense. But to a student, if they have something assigned, this stream makes a lot of sense to them, or it could. They can look at the things that are going on in their courses today. If you have your calendar in terms of the items, the due dates and the availability dates on these items, then they'll have a list of things that they may want to think about. Now, that shouldn't be construed as a definitive task list for their online courses, but it can help them. Anyway, I go to courses, and then I'm going to find PD2. And so for you, it may be in a slightly different place, but this is the course card for PD2, and it should say PD2 Online Course Development and Teaching Academy, Spring 2023. If you're trying to look right now and you don't see it, don't sweat it. I'm going to add everybody, make sure everybody gets in, and I'm going to be around. You can ping me via email. We'll have Teams set up in the next couple days, hopefully. And so you can always ping me on Teams. I'm almost always on Teams. Even in the evening, my status is up. If you need a quick question and I'm around, just shoot me a question and let's talk on it if you want. If you hate that idea, then don't. But some of us will use it. So anyway, I'm going to click on this course card that represents the course. It should be open. And I know that because when I click the three dots in the upper right corner, it offers to make it private, and so it's open. So I'm going to click there. And then this is what the course looks like. Of course, you're familiar with a Blackboard course, content and elements on the left. And then when you click one of those menu items, the main page in the center to right of the screen populates. So the syllabus is a good place to get started. And this is a QM feature that we implement in every course. We want to make it very obvious to the student how to get started in that course. So we have a place called Getting Started, or in my courses, I have a menu called Start Here. I want to hit them over the head with that. I don't want 50 emails asking me how do I get started. I mean, I love answering email, but that's a waste of their time and it's not a good use of my time. So getting started, syllabus. So you could begin by clicking on the syllabus. Notice that I have, and these are little features, little details that your instructional designer in an eCampus course would help you hammer out. I have the document here, and I have to sign in. And this is a good case in point. What if that sign-in were problematic, or what if the syllabus didn't pop up like it's supposed to? For you all, you'll have to sign in with your EKU email account to see the syllabus. Well, I put a link up here to see it in another window in case that there's a problem with that embedded page. And so after a second, they can click that and they'll get access to the syllabus. And that's how you all can access it as well if you want. So look through the syllabus. I hope that it's formatted like a good syllabus should be. I hope it's complete, covers the content of the course, or introduces it sufficiently and talks about all the policies and procedures in the course. And we'll talk more about what comprises what constitutes a good syllabus. From here, you'll go to course content and modules. And we have the 8 weekly modules. I've done all the work has been done to develop this content far in advance, weeks before I logged on here. All this stuff's done. So all I have to do is interact with you as a facilitator or an instructor of this course. And so the first two modules will be visible to you. I've hidden the other ones until we get a little further along. If you say, Chris, I hate that, I want to see everything now. Well, we'll take that under advisement. If enough of you want to move on, that's okay with me. We still have due dates for the deliverables that we have in the course, and we still have due dates on the discussion board. But if you need week 3 or week 4's content, that's fine. It's just most online faculty don't give everything all at once, and they have some frank reasons for that. I don't have those frank reasons, but I want to represent what a standard online course might look like for you. So in any event, you'll click on module 1 to get started. And then there's a message from me that I recorded last year, but the message should still be relevant and accurate. And then you'll see the objectives for this particular module. And I have those. And not only do I have them, but to the right, I have where we might see evidence that you have met those objectives. So that serves as kind of our framework for this unit. Now, moving on, here are the assignments. You'll log into Flip, and tonight I'll do this as well. You'll log in with your Microsoft account in Flip, and you'll record or write me an introduction about yourself. Talk a little bit more about yourself just for a few minutes. And I'll share what's kind of going on. I'll tell you about my 2 poodles and that sort of thing, just to kind of get to know me a little bit. There's a pre-test that you'll take. These 2 items are hidden, so you won't see those. But then here are the readings on the community of inquiry model, how to design and engage in pedagogically sound discussion boards. And then after going through that content, you'll talk about what you have learned in a discussion board. And here's your prompt. Your next exercise, you'll develop discussion board questions, and you'll submit those as an assignment. And then you'll develop a discussion board rubric. We have ones that you can look at and repurpose, but then you'll design that rubric. And then there's a quiz that you can take as many times as you want. So that's this week in a nutshell. We'd like for the initial response to occur by Thursday, and that your follow-up responses to your peers occur by Sunday at 11 p.m. All that's in the syllabus. And so I recognize this is a whole lot. I mean, this is a lot of work to be sure, but we think that the hundreds of faculty that have successfully completed this course, most of them tell us it was worth their time, and they did gain from the experience. All right, I've ran you almost the entire 90 minutes, and so thank you for your patience. What questions or comments do you have?
Okay, so
I have
yeah, please go on.
I'm sorry. I have a question. We're still, I'm wondering, because I remember seeing a survey about going to Blackboard Collaborate Ultra, which is a whole new setup, a whole new, completely different way of everything's in the center instead of on the side. Are we going to have to redevelop our accounts using Blackboard Collaborate in the future?
Sure. Let me address that. Collaborate Ultra is the Zoom for Blackboard. I wish somebody would get together with their marketing team and like call things differently. Blackboard Ultra Course View is this new LMS product. Nobody is switching to Ultra that doesn't want to at this point. We have asked faculty who are interested if they'd like to try it, and a few have agreed to do that or wanted to do that. But we are not forcing anybody to move to Ultra. I don't know what the future holds in terms of, are we going to leave Blackboard as a product? Our contract is in effect until 2025. I'm glad to give you off the record my personal opinions about things, but the only thing I can substantiate is that Ryan Baggett, who's in the provost's office, before Christmas asked faculty leadership what their thoughts about Blackboard was, what their thoughts about moving to another learning management system were, and they responded. I don't know how they responded. rumors suggest that it's mixed, like some want to jump off, some want to stay with Blackboard. And so we're having no discussions about anything definitive at this time. And I don't think you should move to Ultra. Like my courses, I have some in Ultra. I had some new developments that, previously untaught courses. I moved them to Ultra because what's the difference? And if we get off the boat in 2025, I'm going to have to redevelop anyway. So I just went ahead and did Ultra. But this course is still an original because it just takes too much time. So nobody on my end is trying to move faculty in any way.
Is there a way, it sounds like we're going to be looking to develop our own course throughout this. Right now I have a Blackboard online course, a Blackboard based online course, but I'm hoping to move to Ultra because I am a previous Canvas user. So I'm looking forward to that. And so is there a way that we can, as we're creating some of the products from this class, that we use Ultra so that we don't have to recreate?
Absolutely.
Or is that just kind of
no,
it's going to automatically transfer?
Your flexibility, we're working with your flexibility. It takes almost no time to, now we can't go back into, like, so once you've created an Ultra shell, I can't take it back into original. We can't do that we can do it, but it's terrible. But we can take, I can give you an Ultra shell, like a dummy shell for you to work in. I can do that now. Okay. We can convert your course that has been created by the IT system into Ultra. If you're not sure about where you want to go, let's get you I'll need the course that you are doing, and we'll, arrive on a shell name. I'll make you an Ultra shell. You can do everything in that shell. Then we can bring that shell over to the Ultra course when you're ready. That's one way we could do it. But yeah, what you want to do with this course, I hope you will do everything in this course with the intent of actually delivering that into a real course. Absolutely.
Okay, that'd be wonderful. Thank you.
But we're not forcing anybody. I just want to make it clear. Nobody's forcing anybody to move to Ultra. Faculty panic about that as well. They probably should. Nobody's forcing.
I was given the I was asked if I was interested, and right before the semester started, and I said yes. And it's been a little bit of a bear transferring over to Ultra with all of my courses, because I'm also teaching overload, so I have 5. But I can say now, after I'm a couple weeks in, it is easier and it is quicker to grade and it's quicker to get through discussion boards. The trickiest part of it has been figuring out like where to click and how to do little things, but if there's anyone out there considering Ultra, I think I would recommend it now that I've been using it for a bit.
I would say the same. At first, I wanted to use the Blackboard Ultra because I watched some tutorial and it just seemed like it was easier. And yes, it probably took a week for me to figure it out, but it is so much better. And my students have asked students, and they seem to like it. Some of them were kind of apprehensive. They were thinking, "Oh, I've never used it. My professors don't use it," but they're really liking it now. The students too.
Yeah, I did some informal polling about how many other professors use it. It's not many. So it looks a little confusing initially. Yeah.
Thank you for those comments. Who has more comments? While you're thinking, let me just say, I think that the great strength of that, there are 2 great strengths. One's MS Teams, if you want to be an MS Teams user and interact with your class in that way. The second is it's platform agnostic is kind of the wrong term, but I use it because it gives me a giggle. It's platform agnostic. So if a student wants to log in with their Safari for iOS, if they're on their phone, they want to log into Blackboard on, the regular Safari browser, they can get all the content. That if they want to type up with their thumbs, I don't know why anybody wants to do that, but if they want to compose a document, just with this phone, they can do that. And to me, that's really very powerful. And you can download the app for original. It's not the same thing. And it just works better for students, I think. Any other questions? if there's nothing else, please speak up. I just want to say thank you so much for your time today. I so appreciate it. Look for in the next 10 to 20 minutes, I'll have you in that course if you're not already in the course. I put some of you all in when we took that short break. I will also create that Microsoft Teams team. And so look for that. If you want to interact in that way, go right ahead. If not, I will see you all on the flip, as it were. The flip that you'll see in module 1. I'll be responding tonight, and look for your initial posts and your responses to the rest of the group. And if there's any trouble that you're experiencing in any way relative to this course, chris.daniel@eku.edu. My extension is 8230. It usually rings my phone directly. And so I'm happy to answer that. Sometimes there's a weird disconnect that it makes, and so I don't get that. If you leave me a voicemail message, that pings my email account in a special way. Leave a response. I'll call you back as quickly as I can. But I really want to make this a great experience for you. I know that it's a lot of work. I recognize that that's a lot of work, and I thank you for your interest and attention. And hopefully we'll learn from each other and do some really great things in terms of online learning in this time we have. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you.
Thank you
Have a
very
great day.
much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to stop the recording.